Welcome guys to the next video. Now in this video we are going to learn about the powers of the complex number, the I term, the square root of -1, that is I square or I cube or I to the power 4 or I to the power n. And we are also going to learn two basic operations that we can perform with complex numbers, that is addition and subtraction. So now we have learnt in the previous video that I equals to square root of -1, right? So we can write I square equals to I into I equals to I square equals to -1, the square root of -1, the whole square equals to -1. So I square equals to square root of -1 the whole square, because I is square root of -1, that is -1 whole square is -1. Now I cube, now I cube is just equal to I to the power 2 into I to the power 1. Now I to the power 2 is -1, so I to the power 2 is -1 into I is just the value of I is 1, so we write I cube as minus I cube as minus I. Now if you have I to the power 4, right, so if you have I to the power 4, then that's equal to I square into I square, and we write this as -1 into -1, that is +1, right? Now you can also ask that why not if we write I square equals to I cube into I. That's also how we can write I to the power 4. Now if we write I cube into I, then the value of I cube is minus I, so it's minus I into -1, because the I is minus I into I, because the value of I remains the same. So I said I cube is minus I and the I remains as it is, so it becomes minus I into I. Now I into I is I square, so it's minus I square. Now I square, small I square is -1, so we write minus of -1, that is +1. Now you might ask the question that what is the value of I to the power 5? Well, we can do this in a similar way, that is I to the power 4 into I, that is I to the power 4. I to the power 4 is +1 and the I remains as it is, so it's just I. Now again, if we have I to the power n, then what? Suppose we have I to the power n, then it has three values. It is 1 plus 1 when n is divisible by 4. It is plus 1 when n is divisible by 4, minus 1 when n is divisible by 4 but not 2. When n is divisible by 2 but not 4. And it is 0, I when n is not divisible by 2, that is n is not an even number, n is an odd number. So from this we can say that I to the power 20, now 20 is divisible by 4, so I to the power 20 is +1. Now say I to the power 18, so I to the power 18, now 18 is divisible by 2 but not 4, 18 is divisible by 2 but not divisible by 4, so it becomes -1. Now if you say a number which is not divisible by 2, that is I to the power 9, then that's equal to I. So these are the basic rules that you need to know. First, I square is -1. Second, I to the power 4 is +1, and then you can find any I to the power any number. And the third rule is that I to the power n, where n is a natural number or it may be a whole number. That is, I to the power n equals to +1 when n is divisible by 4. If n is divisible by 4, it is also divisible by 2. So I to the power n is +1 when n is divisible by 4. I to the power n is -1 when n is divisible by 2 but not 4. I to the power n is I when n is not divisible by 2. So remember this. And again, one thing, any number to the power 0 is actually 0. Is it? No. Any number to the power, I make silly mistakes. Any number to the power 0 is 1. So of course I to the power 0 should also be equal to 1. Since complex, we say complex number, it's a number, right? So it should behave as a number, and I to the power 0 is 0. Now we'll learn about the addition of complex number. Now while adding, before starting with the addition, I think we won't be able to do the addition part here. I think we have to skip it to the next video because the time is almost reaching. So let's do another thing. We need to learn about the modulus. What is the modulus? Well, remember we learnt about the conjugate of a complex number. Suppose I have a complex number z equals to x plus iy. My x looks very silly. X plus iy. Then the conjugate denoted by z bar equals to x minus iy. Now with these two, with conjugate and this function, we define another function as the modulus. What is the modulus? Modulus is the square root of the real part plus the imaginary part. So it's the square root of the real part x and the imaginary part y. Now remember, this term is always a real number. Of course we can extend it to a complex number by writing it 0 root I. So we can do that, but it's actually a real number. Now if you see again, then what is this modulus? Modulus can also be written as the square root of the product of the complex number times the conjugate. So what is the modulus? We write it as, see, the complex number was x plus iy, so we write it as x plus iy, and then x minus iy. I said my x is very silly. Now I have a habit of writing that. Yeah, so it's, see, a plus b into a minus b. So remember the formula we learnt, that is square root of x square minus iy the whole square. So we can write this as square root of x square minus I square y square. Now remember the value of I square. The value of I square is -1. So minus times minus y square. Now minus into minus becomes plus, and we write x square plus y square. So that's called the modulus. And again I say, we'll learn the basic properties of complex numbers, that is addition, subtraction, division and multiplication, in the next video. And I hope that I don't say this in the next video also.